welcome to the show. Hello, the iridiots. Hello.
Oh,
Look at that. Loads of you. Loads of you. I just got to say at the beginning, I'm going to make an apology, first of all. Well, Mark makes his apologies for a start. Mark Clower couldn't make it. He's working. But also, the biggest apology from me, because Darren usually watches these shows, I forgot to invite Darren. I
Like
know.
Mark.
I know. So I know you'll be watching this, Darren. I know you usually blow me out anyway, but
I
you
was
know,
going to say, you can only invite somebody so many times before the invitation stops. It's like a party.
Darren, it wasn't on purpose, and I would invite you to everything. And it doesn't matter if you never turn up; I will still invite you in future. So,
Oh,
yeah,
bless.
yeah, I know. So, this show is we've done something like this before, by the way. Mark Clough actually pointed this out. We've done title tracks before, but great title tracks. So,
Oh,
yeah, we have done one of those, and yeah, you was on it as well, Dom. It shows. I know, I know we're all old and we forget, but we have actually done something similar. But this is a bit different because it's like the title track is the best track on the album.
okay.
Yeah.
And that's not an opinion. That is the best track.
Fact.
Right?
Yeah.
It's fact. It's fact. So we're going to go around the houses and we're going to do 3 tracks. Jam, are you all right? Is that understanding? Yeah, oh, yeah, good.
I'll write it down.
Good. So we're going to do 3 each on the first round, and then we're going to do the last 2 on the last round. Does that all make sense to everyone?
Yep.
Good. So we're going to go to the lovely Karen first.
Hello.
For her first 3. All right.
Hello. Yeah. Good. How are you?
Not bad. Good. How did you find it?
Once I got started, it was easy. I've got a huge list. And I know we've talked we might go into a second show with this because I think most of us have came up with a lot for this. So I've broken it down into the top 2, my 1 and 2, they are my favorite title tracks probably ever. And so the first 3 are just a few different things that I thought it would be interesting to talk about. So I'm going to start with something.
So hold on, Karen. Did I explain to you there's no prog in this show, in this one?
Yeah, I'll leave now. Get me coat. Get me coat. It's not all prog, believe it or not. So I'm going to start with something relatively new and cool for me, actually. I do cool sometimes, not very often.
Always.
So I'm going with Take Me Back to Eden by Sleep Token, the title track of the 2023 album. It's the first track I heard by them. I'd given them a miss for some reason until a prog friend said, no, you've got to listen to this band. And it's the first track I heard by them. It absolutely blew my mind. Can't label them. It's 8 minutes long and it really pushes musical boundaries. Really clever songwriting, lots of transitions, drawing on loads of different influences. You've got everything from gospel to extreme metal in there. Incredible songwriting, really clever, and clearly, I think, played by some very highly trained musicians, I suspect. And then that voice over the top, which I think is really quite unique. So that is my first track. And then I'm going back to the early 90s for something a bit more classic. Seasons in the Abyss by Slayer. Was one of a couple of choices I could have picked by them. It's not your typical Slayer song, but it's not your typical Slayer album, this either. It's probably, I think, them at their most versatile. It's a slow, moody track, I'm going to say almost melodic. That kind of builds in intensity as it goes on. Dave Lombardo was one of my greatest heroes in my teenage years as a wannabe drummer, and he's all over this track. And I love this album, but for me, this is the standout track. And my third choice is actually more predictably by Marillion, and it's This Strange Engine. It's a 15 and a half minute track, epic. And the reason I mention this, it's not actually my favourite Marillion title track, but this track was recently voted the greatest ever Marillion track by Marillion fans in a big poll.
Wow.
It was a poll run by a man called Matthew Lewis. I salute you, Matthew, for doing this. It went on for months, and it was called This Strange Poll, and it was incredible fun, and also excruciatingly painfully difficult at times as well, when you had to vote for groups of songs, of which 3 out of 4 might have been some of your favourites. So I have to mention this This Strange Engine for being the greatest ever Marillion song according to the Marillion fan community. So that's my first 3.
Very cool, very cool. Sleep Token download headlining this year.
Yeah. Jam and I went to see them in November, and I have to say they were
very good.
They were mind-blowingly good. Very, very, very good.
And
indeed.
British as well.
British, yeah, incredible they were.
In fact, I think their new single has entered the British charts, has it not?
It has,
something, yes.
number 17 or something
so that's
like
what I
that.
heard, yeah. That's incredible for rock music in this day and age.
It is.
Yeah.
So,
the normal charts, as in
normal charts.
Yeah.
Top of iTunes charts or something as well. I think someone said. I'm not sure if that's true,
but I'd go and see them again any day, I have to say.
Yeah, I will be watching them when I'm there.
Yeah, very good, very good. Thank you very much for your first 3, Karen. And we move to the, dare I say, even better looking than Karen. Dom, I'm not really sure about that though. Definitely not.
I will take that. I will take that before you added the second part. Thanks.
All right, the best looking man in the room. Here comes Dom.
Okay, that's fine. Of course, that I can't say that. Look at all these terrific faces around me. Karen, that's my favorite Slayer song from my favorite Slayer album.
Great, isn't
that's
it?
a great call. That's the song that really opened my eyes. I had heard them in the past, but when I heard that song, that's when I became a lifelong fan.
Yes. Yeah.
Can I just ask a question? Season of the Abyss, is that the one? Because I'm not a Slayer fan, as you know. I've heard a few tracks. Seasons of the Abyss, would I be correct in thinking that's the album where they slowed down a little bit and would maybe be the one?
The one
before
that
is the famous.
Yeah.
What's that
South
one?
of Heaven is where they really slowed it down. But then this album's a real mixture. Yeah, it's really, really great versatility. That it was a real change.
I've always thought it was a great mix between South of Heaven and Rain and Blood. They kind of put the two things together.
Yeah. I was thinking of picking it, but I just like Dead Skin Mask, I think, and War Ensemble as well. So I don't know.
I love those too.
But go on.
Very cool.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Aaron.
So I don't really have a ranking or anything. I'm going to mention the first 3 on my list that somebody else might have, so I can kind of just usurp the. So we will go now. Normally, I'm like champion of newer music and stuff, but this is all old school. This is all pre like 86 or something. So it was just that I was just looking at lists and just trying to come up with it. It's like, oh yeah, that one. Oh, and that one too. And that one too. Okay. First, we'll go with Accept. They had a few choices, and they have some really good title tracks: Metal Heart, Balls to the Wall, Breaker. But I went with Restless and Wild, which is maybe my favorite Accept song. Just perfect, just straight ahead, super catchy, but still quite metal. Fantastic stuff. That's from their 4th album. It was released in Europe in '82. Yeah. Hey, there you go. Oh, that's the US cover too.
The Comet. It's the one that has both.
Yeah. It was released in Europe in '82, but in the States and in the UK in '83. So 2 different years, actually. My second, I'll go with 1984, Deep Purple, Perfect Strangers. Yeah, definitely my favorite track off the album. Love this song. The one time I got to see them, they did it, and I was really, really surprised and excited that they did. Their 11th album, obviously, this is the one where Gillan came back, and it was a reunion of the most famous lineup and really a return to form after years with Coverdale, and then they had broken up for about 10 years as well. So great album and great song. Very kind of Zeppelin-y, I would say. Almost has a Cashmere kind of feel, but fantastic. And then my third, speaking of Coverdale, is Whitesnake. I am going with Ready and Willin'.
Oh, yeah.
From 1980. What a great song. It's their third album. Again, one of the last times I saw Whitesnake, they actually did this with Doug Hall. That was fantastic. Really, really great song, and kind of an overlooked one. So, especially for maybe some fans that kind of came on around Slide It In or 87 or something like that. There's some great stuff on the older ones, and that was 1980. So there you go, my first three.
Yeah, man. Isn't it cool to talk about? It's quite relaxing sometimes, Dominic. Like to talk about older music and classics sometimes. I know we all champion new music, but it's quite, some of those choices are great. As soon as you said the Whitesnake one, I was like, oh man, yeah. I ain't even got it on my list, and I would have done if I thought about it.
yeah.
Perfect
I kind of
Strangers
started
as well.
at 80 and just kind of looked until about 85 and just gathered my list from that.
Yeah, Perfect Strangers is a great choice as well. That
Think of that
intro
one.
still gives me goosebumps now, and it doesn't sound like they're trying to be Mark II Deep Purple either. It sounded quite fresh at the time as well.
Absolutely, yeah. I think
yeah.
that was the key why that album did so well,
Yeah.
is that it wasn't a retro-y album. It was just
Very
And
cool,
Dominic, I can already strike through two from my list now.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And 40 more to go.
Which two were they?
Ralph won't have a. Ralph won't even have a. Yeah. What ones were they, Ralph?
What's that? It was Accept.
Yeah.
Restless and Wild.
I knew that was coming.
Yeah, and Deep Purple. Perfect Strangers.
Okay.
Yeah, I had that.
Well, it's a good thing you have about 432 on your list.
Yeah. Yeah, I said before the show I have stuff for 8 shows.
you might not have. You might have anything left after this, or choose the same one.
Who knows?
That's a great list. Thanks, mate. Cheers for that. He's going to choose Kiss, isn't he? Because look at his little Kiss. What's that you got there?
Oh yeah.
I like that. What is that?
It's all the singles from 1974 to 1982 box set.
Oh, very nice. Very nice.
Singles. Very cool. Some of those mixes are different from the album versions.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Some of the stuff rec companies back in the day would like do little edits or whatever. So there are quite a few different little single versions rather than the album versions.
Oh, cool.
It's fun to pick them out.
Yeah, I'll just have to go through them. There's quite a lot in there.
Just before Jam gets onto his list, I've heard they're back for another.
I know.
Well, it is a bit different. I mean, it's like the conventions that I don't want to defend them because they've pissed me off so much in the last 20 years. I can't even talk about it. But at least they're not doing makeup, and they're having Bruce Kulick on, hopefully. So it sounds more like something they would do on their cruise or their conventions or whatever. But still, I know.
No makeup. That sounds a lot bit of me. That one. That's my favourite. Okay, Jan, what you got there, mate?
Yes. Well, this is pretty easy. I didn't really have to think about it, and I wrote down quite a few. And if I say I could probably do 2 or 3 or 4 shows on this. But what I've tried to do is I've tried to pick out not only my favourite title tracks, but actually some of my favourite songs by the band. I thought that's how I was going to narrow it down. So these are actually one of my favourite songs by the band, and I'm just going to go through. They're not ranked, but I'm going by year of release. So starting there for these 3. So first off, as you can see, is Kiss. Obviously, I'm going with not a very good cover, but Love Gun from 1977. Yeah, I mean, what a song. I mean, it's probably my favourite Kiss song, arguably. I don't know, there's some good ones, isn't there? But yeah, Love Gun from 1977, brilliant. So there's some other good tracks on the album. It's not a bad album after Destroyed, isn't it? So yeah, it's a pretty good album, but it's definitely the best track on there.
Just for the purists, I have to say Rock and Roll Over came in between those two.
Oh, yep, sorry, yeah. They're same year, 76, weren't they? Both 76, weren't they?
Just to save you comments.
Yeah. Right, then I'm going to another band who I've got another one that's probably going to be on the other show, but I've probably got 2 or 3 tracks, but not the obvious one. I'm going with Black Sabbath. Never Say Die.
Oh, that's a good choice.
1978. I mean, the album is not very good, so it's not really difficult to pick this song. But I quite like Johnny Blade. There's a couple of other songs on here. Not Zero there. There's a couple of good songs on the album, but Never Say Die is brilliant. Yeah, there we go. It's I didn't think about it until recently, but a few people said obviously it sounds a bit like Boys Are Back in Town by Thin Lizzy. I don't really
I suppose the rhythm,
it's the rhythm, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, great upbeat, fast tempo song from Black Sabbath. I won't mention any more because I say there's a few that people could have. And then I'm going outside heavy rock, and I'm going to mainstream rock. And one of my favourite bands I've mentioned before is Dire Straits and Brothers in Arms. I mean, when I was a kid, I heard Money for Nothing, and obviously that was my favourite. Then after time, I love Ride Across the River, Man's Too Strong. But as I've got older and older, Brothers in Arms is just amazing. It's one of the best tracks in the world. I absolutely love Brothers in Arms, the track. So it had to be on here.
Yeah.
There you go. 1985. Sorry, I should say. There we go.
Yeah. It is rock and metal, mate, and Dire Straits definitely fall into that. Very cool listen. I'd say that Sabbath album that's another one of those albums that's gained more love, I think, as the years have gone by, wouldn't you say?
Definitely. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
For me as well. Both that and Technical Ecstasy in the last few years. I don't know if it's because I'm older and I've listened to a wider selection of music so I can appreciate what they were doing more. But I think those last two albums with Ozzy are really underrated.
And Born Again as well. I love Born Again. I think Born Again's really good.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I think we were as young, when we were young. I think we was very quick to just want the same thing. Well, we just want another album like that last one, and that was it. We wasn't happy unless. But now, like you said, you get older and you just start to look at things in a little bit of a different way. Very cool. Thanks, Jam. Brilliant list so far. Okay, Todd, what you got, mate?
All right. Well, thanks for having me. Sorry?
How'd you get on with your list?
It was I had quite a few. It was difficult to narrow it down to just 5 that we're going to talk about. So I thought what I would do is I would do like I did in a previous video, was kind of break them into decades. So I could pick one for the 1970s and then all the way up to 2010s. So I figured that way at least I got a cross section of eras, and then I can just focus in on just a few and which one do I want to talk about. And I found that this was you got 2 different scenarios where the title song is the best one. Is either the album itself is not good or not as good as maybe some of the others. And then the title song, they maybe came up with the title song first and it's a great song. And then they come up with a bunch of other songs just to kind of fill the rest of the album or something. Who knows? But or you've got a great album and the title song is just so much, all these great songs, but then that one song is just a little bit better. And so I have some of both of those here. So I'm going to start with the 2010s and work my way back because I had more options to choose from the 70s and 80s, and I figured if somebody else picks one of those, then I'll have more choices. So I'll start with the 2010s and work my way back. So this was from 2011. It's an American band from California, and it's the Rival Sons, and the album is Pressure and Time. And a lot of great songs on this one. This is probably my favorite Rival Sons album, and just chock full. But when you get to Pressure and Time, man, the goosebumps come out, and it's just so good. I love Jay Buchanan's voice. He just kills it on this song. It's actually track 3. A lot of times, a title track is the first song, but a lot of mine that hasn't been the case. A lot of my picks. This is their second album. It came, like I said, out in 2011, and this just sealed the deal for me for Rival Sons. I heard this album and this song specifically, and this is a band I love. So that's 2011. That's my first one. Let's go to the 2000s, and I've talked about this band before, so this might be a little bit obvious for me, but we're talking Airborne and Running Wild. And again, Running Wild was the very first song I ever heard by this band, and I'm like, what is this band? who is this? Why have I never heard? Why have this band been taking so long to come out? This is so good. This is one of those like everything that they're going to put out is I'm going to buy because of that first song I ever heard. And it's the title track from Running Wild. It was their first album, came out in 2007. And it's track two actually. The track one, I had heard the video or I heard the single for Running Wild first, but when you put the album on, it's track two. So, but the track one is almost as good. Stand Up for Rock and Roll is an amazing song, but then you get to Running Wild, and you're like, yeah, this is the one. So that is my 2000s pick, and let's go to 90s. And I was debating whether to go here because I think somebody else is probably going to pick this one, but I think, well, I'll go ahead because I think it's a really good example of a great title track. We're going to go with "Slave to the Grind" from Skid Row. Track two. This is from 1991. This is their second album, and it was written by Sabo, Bolan, and Bach. And what a killer, just heavy and fast burner of a song is Slave to the Grind, man. It's so good. And I loved the first album, and then it came out with this, and you're thinking, well, a lot of times they'll go, more, everybody loved 18 and Life, and I Remember You, so it's going to be a bunch of ballads and soft, and then they came out with this and they just knocked your socks off. So great stuff. Slave to the Grind from Skid Row.
Yeah,
very cool. I mean, I think it was a really good choice them going heavier at that point because obviously, like, the late 80s got probably softer, didn't they, with those sort of melodic rock, hard rock bands, and everyone sort of went a little bit too commercial, if you like. They reckon that could have been one of the reasons why it all ended so quickly. But they almost, like that song especially, was almost like a thrash song, wasn't it?
Right.
So that's my, I know Jam prefers, I do listen to you, Jam. I listen to everyone. Yeah. I know that Jam prefers the debut, doesn't you?
I think David's just more consistent. I think I like a lot of songs on Slave to the Grind. I was thinking of picking it myself, but I just love Monkey Business and I love Wasted Time as well. So I didn't know which is my favourite song, but I think the first album was just more consistent for me. But I love both of them.
They're both great albums. But yeah, they definitely upped the ante, didn't they, on that second one for sure. Yeah, brilliant. Excellent list, mate. Thank you very much so far, obviously. We go to Ralph. How you doing, mate? How you going to pick these 5 out of the 42, by the way?
Yeah, as I said before, it was a difficult choice. I had a list of 42, and then I stroked through the obvious ones, which left me with 22. And then I went through my list. There was an alphabetic list, and then decided on my top 5. Some of them already been chosen, so good that I have enough honorable mentions so I can put one in. But then it was really remembering how I rocked out to these songs and how often did I hear them and things like that made my choice. So then my first one is Axel Rudy Pell, Eternal Prisoner. That was still from the phase when Jeff Scott Soto did the lead vocals. And it's an extended song, about 8 minutes long. It has some slower pieces, but Lee, you may remember it has this slow gallop and really moves it forward and ends up in an epic chorus. So I really, really love that song. And it's really from the phase of Axel Rudy Pell that I like most, the ones where Jeff Scott Soto was the lead singer there. My second choice is from a group that I think has already only brought out 2 albums, maybe 3. It's a Scandinavian band called Dream Evil.
Oh, yeah.
And the title track of their first album was The Book of Heavy Metal. And that is another one of these absolute anthems. And I've heard it a million times ever since. The riff really kills me all the time. And I just love the song. So it's really always great to come back. And I think last year they released another album, which was mediocre, I would say. Had 2 or 3 really good tracks, but the rest was not so much my choice. And the last one is another oldie. The last of the first 3 is another oldie, which is one that I hear very often. It's Leatherwolf and Street Ready. And this has this great riff going into that gang chorus. And yeah, all of these songs are rather easy structured, but they are the ones that really blow me away. Those are the ones that I can rock out to best. So those are my choices: Axel Rudy Pell, Dream Evil, and Leatherwolf.
Very cool. Leatherwolf, great, bringing out some great music now as well. After all these years, brought out a great album a couple of years ago. I know there's been a lot of changes as there would be of these 80s bands, but yeah, very cool. Thanks, mate. Much appreciated. Love Dream Evil as well, of course. Okay, my first 3. So I'm going way back for this one in the 70s. I'm going to Boston and Don't Look Back. So I love a very underrated album in my opinion. Of course, it's always compared to the first classic album. But actually, when I was younger, I got into this album more than I did the debut album, which was, probably a bit different than most people. So it was almost, I know they felt rushed making it because it only come out a couple of years after all the success of the first album. It still went 7 times platinum, by the way. Just not 17 times like the original album. But Don't Look Back is just, I think Dom might have mentioned this album.
Love it. Yeah.
But that guitar riff, the down, 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 how cool is that fucking guitar riff? That melody is just fantastic. And so that's my first choice. That was I did that as a late choice actually. So I love that song. Love that album as well. My second choice, now I think it was Todd mentioned that there's sometimes a title track is like easily like the best song and compared to everything else, and that's what I would say about this disappointing album for this band. It's AC/DC. For those about to rock, we salute you. So I actually wasn't going to choose this because I thought that the title track, the full length of it, wasn't the same as the actual album title. But it actually is. So I looked into it. So the only reason it's called For Those About to Rock on the actual album cover is because it looked better not to have the We Salute You bit at the bottom. There you go.
Yeah. It says that We Salute You on the back.
Yeah, but I was thinking obviously,
obviously
as it's a title track, I was thinking, is it an actual title track? Because it's worded differently. I thought I was going to cheat, but I actually didn't. It is actually, the album's actually called We Salute You on the end as well. So yeah, I mean, it was a massive single here in England. It was like in the charts for weeks and weeks. And for me, like, there's nothing that touches that song. It's so epic, isn't it? From the beginning, little melody, guitar riff until it just explodes at the end, and it's become a staple in AC/DC's catalogue, obviously. And then my next one is Y&T and Mean Streak. And again, I mean, there's some great songs on the album, but I think, what great cover as well. Great songs on the album. There's a few that could have contended with the title track, but I think it's the best song on there. Rocking, obviously, Dave Meniketti is just a guitar hero and a vocal hero. What a great song. Proper, got a mean streak. Just brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. That's the 5th album. Mean Street.
I love when you do your Meniketti impersonation. This is great. Mean Streets.
Mean Streets. I don't know why I say Mean Streets, but he is the fifth album by Y&T. And I think I didn't actually find Y&T until I think the next album, In Rock We Trust, which was 85, I think, or 84. And that was when I found Y&T, and obviously I went back and found out what a brilliant band, underrated band as well they are. So that's my first 3 picks. Fucking brilliant. What Well, they
Yeah.
Good list, Lee.
Yeah.
Good list, yeah, good list.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank
I
you,
thought
Lee.
of Don't Look Back, but I like the song Party a lot.
Oh, that's a good
brilliant.
one too.
Oh,
I
it's
like that a little
brilliant.
bit
I
better.
love
And the
that
good thing
song.
with Y&T is they are touring more than ever now.
They do.
So they're
Yeah,
gonna come back to Europe. I'm gonna see them in October again. I think it's the fourth time in 3 years or so.
Wow.
And they're always,
they are.
these are crazy shows. They
Yeah,
rock.
and
They don't tour the States. They just play around California and maybe
yeah.
Vegas, and that's it. And then they
Yeah.
never tour the States.
Well, California will become Europe anyway. So
And basically, I mean, if you ever look at them, if you ever like just watch some YouTube videos, of them playing live, they sound brilliant. The only thing we're missing, and they don't need to do it, is I'd love to hear something new. I think it's been like Face Melter was about 12, 13, 14 years ago or something. So just something new, even if it's a few singles, but still.
But Many Kitty said that in the last show that I attended, that they are working on new material.
Yeah, good. Okay, right. That's my first read. Going round to the lovely Karen again.
I'm totally with you on the Boston choice there. Love that
Oh,
track and that
thank you.
album as well. Yeah,
Brilliant,
fantastic. I had not even thought of that one.
yeah.
So my top two, they are actually my two favorite ever title tracks, and weirdly they've actually got a link between them as well. The first one is The Raven That Refused to Sing by Stephen Wilson, which is it's the title track, I think, of what is widely regarded to be his masterpiece album. It's actually an album of ghost stories, so each track is an individual little ghost story, and what an inspired idea. And this story is about a story of an old man who's kind of getting to the end of his life, and he was very close to his sister, and he thinks that the raven who visits his garden is like a manifestation of his sister. Such a beautiful song. It's from a proper prog album as well. I mean, this album's proper prog. It's got a really lovely vintage kind of 70s sound to it. Stephen Wilson brought Alan Parsons in to engineer on this album. And it's just such a beautiful sound, and performed by great musicians, and written by someone that I'm quite happy to call a musical genius. He's a great hero of mine. And that leads me nicely then into my number one choice, which I know Jam's going to be able to predict already, although I haven't told him. It is my favourite title track from one of my favourite albums of all time, and it is Blackwater Park by Opeth. One of two possibilities by this band, actually, but this is the title track of one of the most important progressive metal albums ever recorded. It's an 11-minute, I think it's a bit over 11 minutes, masterpiece that just sums up everything I love about Opeth. It's full of contrasts. It's got the intricate acoustic sections to really heavy with I think it's the growls all the way through this. I don't think there's any clean vocals on this track, much as I love Michael Ackerfeld's clean vocals as well. The musicianship is absolutely stunning, and the production, of course, album is produced by Stephen Wilson, and you can hear every sound on it clearly. My life comes to a standstill for 11 minutes every time this track comes on, and I've heard it a lot of times over the last couple of days in anticipation of doing this. So that is Blackwater Park by Opeth is my favorite all-time title track.
I take it if you're playing it in the car, and then you get home and you pull up outside with still 10 minutes to go, you stay in the car, don't you?
I'll sit in the drive, and listen to it. Definitely.
It's really cool what you said about production there. I mean, I don't know that album, but in general, there's two types of there's lots of bands that are trying to capture that, retro, if you like, the analog type sound now in production. Sometimes bands pull it off, and sometimes they don't, because they almost go for this too obvious thing. They just put a bit of echo on the voice to make it sound like it's, from 1983 or something. But sometimes it's really good to hear something that sounds.
Oh, it's
that
wonderful.
way.
You get to the end of this, the really heavy bit towards the end, and you can still hear the acoustic guitar in the background as well. Nice. It is just amazing.
Very cool. As usual, you put everything into your explanation of your songs, and thank you very much for that.
I could
That's
talk about that
brilliant.
one all day.
Well, we just do a show where you can just talk about it if you want, and then we just sit.
I don't think that'd get many views.
Oh God, the dog's here. Right, we're through to the second most best looking person on
Yeah.
the screen today. That's Dom. How you doing?
Well,
Right.
until Dio comes on the screen, and then he clips us
There
all.
is.
Look at that face.
Oh yes, there
That
you
is the
go.
best looking one on the screen here. Look at that. Well, he knew that I was coming up. That's why
He did.
had to come to your lap.
He did. He
Oh,
said
you know
to
that.
me. He said to me, "Dom, Dom, Dom, Dom." He said, and I went,
Yeah, that's it. All right. So my last two, as I said, these weren't on any order. So, but these are two great title tracks. First one is from Fastway, and it's from their second album, All Fired Up, from 1984. Just a fantastic opener. Really, just pedal to the metal. All fired up. You know, he had such a fantastic voice, and yeah, just a great opener. I got to see them probably about 6 months before Eddie died. They supported Saxon. So I'm glad I got to see that. And they did All Fired Up, which was very cool. So love that one. That's just a pedal to the metal. And then if any song from the 80s should have broke a band, this is it. This is Black and Blue. And the song is from their second album called Without Love. 1985. This song is so great. It's got all these it's one of those songs that's got all these catchy parts. And then there's a fake out chorus, like you think you've heard the chorus, but then after the second verse and then the part that you thought was the chorus, then they go into the real chorus, and it's like, oh my god, it's great. It's just everything in those 4 minutes is just super catchy. First time I ever heard of Bruce Fairbairn was this album as well. So I don't know if maybe Bon Jovi heard this and decided to use him for Slippery and Wet. But yeah, first time I had heard of him. Yeah, terrific stuff. This song is great. You know, there's not even a music video for it. There was a single, but so Geffen really dropped the ball on this one. This could have been the one that just broke them huge. But anyway, there you go.
Very cool. I love Black and Blue. I love Black and Blue. I mean, they did actually. I remember way back when they talked about Bruce Fairbairn, so like Bon Jovi, and it was because of the Without Love album.
Oh, was it? Oh.
And I think Without Love came out around the same time as 7800 degrees Fahrenheit. So
yeah,
they were very disappointed, and I can see where they were. I love 70. That's my favorite Bon Jovi album, but they was very unhappy with the production of it, and it does sound a little bit flat, you know, compared to a lot of bands around that time. And then they went with Bruce Fairbairn, and obviously
is that right?
Yeah, and what an excellent
cool.
job he made.
All right.
But yeah, very, very cool. And my next album from them was my favorite, actually. Nasty.
Yes, I know that.
Oh, what an album that is. So yeah, brilliant. Thanks, mate. Thanks for those two choices. Excellent and brilliant list. Okay, Jan, what you got, mate?
Okay, my next two are both from 1990. Coincidentally, nothing to do with it, but I'm surprised this has not come up before. I thought this would be everybody would have this one, but this is, like Todd was talking about, this is a good song, or the best song from a great album, and that is Painkiller, Judas Priest.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's the definition of metal, isn't it, really, the song? It's still to this day sounds, I mean, the drums are brilliant on it with Scott Travis. Yeah, I mean, what a song. But there's like Hell Patrol on here, Metal Meltdown, Nightcrawler, some great songs on here as well, but Painkiller, the title track, is just absolutely brilliant. I mean, there's a few Judas Priest ones probably that people might be able to pick over the things, but I won't mention them. But yeah, Painkiller from 1990.
Well, I did have it on my list.
There you go.
Not my actual list, but it was on my, you know, I did have that on.
Yeah, so it's quite an obvious one. I'm surprised it hasn't come up. That's why I thought I might have to swap one out, but I've got it in there now, so that's good. Right, second one, no one will have this one. This is the longest title probably ever and stupidly named. All hell is breaking loose down at Little Kathy Wilson's place from Wolfsbane. The title track here, it's just listed as Kathy Wilson on the back, but that's what they sing in the song. I don't know how Blaze manages to sing it, but he does. That is the title track. This is only an EP, by the way. I don't think it matters, does it? But it's the title track. Absolutely brilliant. Wolfsbane, love them. Go to see them next week because they've re-recorded their first album. Reimagine it because it was on Deaf American. The production on it's quite flat because Rick Rubin did it, and they've re-recorded their first album. They're going to play the whole thing, and obviously release the new album for fans and stuff. And yeah, go see them in Bedford of all places. But yeah, can't wait. So Wolfsbane, all hell is breaking loose. There we go, 1990.
Very cool. Thanks, mate. Brilliant with the Priest choice, obviously. And yeah, I think some people, I think in these shows, sometimes we leave them off because we just think someone's going to do it, don't we? So yeah, very cool. Brilliant. 5 choices as well, Jan. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, thank you.
We move over to Todd.
Hey, so my 80s selection was picked by somebody else, which is fantastic. That means I get to talk about another one. So, but then that gives me, I'm doing a game time decision on which one I'm going to go with of the next two. I think I'm going to go with the more obvious of the two, maybe. Yeah, let's do that. All right, so from 1986, Master of Puppets. I mean, there's other great songs on here, but in my opinion, Master of Puppets is head and shoulders above the rest. And probably the one that most people of the first 4 albums, this is obviously the one that people would mostly know from the band, just because of the more resurgence of the song recently. So not much to say about that, as everybody knows the song, so I don't have to get into a lot of detail there, but that's a fairly obvious one. And then this one, I had a good bet that nobody was going to pick it. But it is definitely one that's one of my favorites from 1979. It's a Southern rock band. We're going to go Flirting with Disaster. Did I pick yours, Ralph? All right. So we got Flirting with Disaster. Sorry, I could go with a different one if you want to talk about it. All right. Yeah, I got a huge stack from 70s, so I can go with something else. But this is 79. It's their second album. It's actually track 6, so it's side 2, track 1 if you have the vinyl. And just a burner of a song. How can you go wrong with this song? And this is, again, head and shoulders above the rest of the album. They have other good songs, don't get me wrong. But this one is so, I mean, just slaps you across the face and just it gets your attention right away. And then it just keeps you engaged the whole song. It's like a 5 or 6 minute song, something like that. And it just engages you the whole time. That dual guitar solo in the middle where he does the whistle in the middle. Oh man, how good is that? Yeah, just incredible. Incredible stuff. Yeah, and then they do the harmony guitar parts, 3 guitars in the band, and they make use of all of them in this song. It's just so good, and how can you go wrong with Molly Hatchet, Flirting with Disaster?
Absolutely.
Yeah, great thing.
Very cool. Thanks, mate. Much appreciated. And of course, the best year in metal has been mentioned, 86. Thank you very much for that. Yeah. Has to be done. Has to be done, doesn't it? Yeah, I mean, that's a great album. I thought about the Metallica one. I was, man, that album. It's just so many songs, and I was like, I would have lied. I still wouldn't say it's not the best song, but it's too much of a fight with Disposable Heroes for me. Yeah. It's too much of a fight for me. But I mean, man, there's so many songs on that you could just be the best song on the album. It's just a classic, isn't it? Absolutely superb. Thanks for that, Todd. Brilliant list, mate, as usual. Ralph, what you got there, mate?
Yeah, what's left?
Yeah, not a lot.
Yeah, I'm going to start with an album that I personally think is the best album of the band. First first and foremost. It's from Wasp, The Headless Children.
Oh yeah.
I just love that album so much. It's the one that I hear preferably all the time. Also because it has Mean Man on it, which I find another great song. But The Headless Children is just one of their most epic songs. You know, it starts slow, it builds and builds and builds, and then it goes into the chorus, which has a fantastic riff to it, that also started at the beginning of the song. And it's long, it's epic, and it's a song with a message, which I always like very much. So Wasp, The Headless Children.
Yeah, Ralph, that's a great pick. I thought about it, but the Heretic and also Thunderhead are just so good. So it's difficult. Yeah, but go on.
Lots of great songs, but I think The Headless Children is still sticks out in comparison to all the others. Yeah, and then now that Molly Hatchet has been picked, I'll choose my second Southern Rock.
He's such a jerk.
Yeah, I know.
It's all good. It's all good. You know,
to tell you the truth, he's chosen
that's what happens when you go last. You know, that's the chances high.
He knows how much you love Molly Hatchet.
Yeah, I agree.
He went ahead and picked it anyway.
Underhanded. He doesn't look guilty, but he definitely is. Yeah.
Just cut me right out. Cut me right out of the video.
No, it's wonderful. But there's another Southern rock band that I like very much, which is 38 Special and Wild-Eyed Southern Boys.
Oh, good choice.
Would then be my other choice in the Southern rock genre. It's one of those also all-time favorite albums. They had other great albums, but Wild-Eyed Southern Boys for me sticks out, and the song itself very much as well. And yeah, it's just a shame that they don't produce new stuff. They're touring all the time, but they're not recording, as far as I know. That's really a bit of a pity. But so 38 Special, Wild-Eyed Southern Boys.
They're coming to town. They're opening for Kansas in my town.
What a dream team!
July. Yeah,
what a dream team that is.
The Outlaws are the opener.
Yeah, also great.
Wow,
that's
nice to
could have gone rocking into the night too.
Yes.
Oh yeah. What a great song that is. What a very cool that a bit of Southern rock's getting some love. I love that. Great songs as well. Thank you for the list, Ralph. Right, okay, my last two. So for number 2, I'm going for Sabotage and Hall of the Mountain King.
Oh yes. Excellent.
Yeah. Well, I enjoy that. Yeah, I mean, there's no other vocalist like him. I know he's not well, John Oliver, but it's a shame that because I think they're using who's the other vocalist?
I can't remember.
They're using the one when John Oliver left the band, and then they use a different vocalist, and they're using him on they're touring again, and they're doing some festivals. But I just think no one had a voice like that guy, did. And like you said, that what would you even call it? That scream no one was doing anything like that, were they? That scream.
It just punctuates it. He doesn't really use it sparingly. I mean, he does it quite a bit, but it's great. It's so great. It just puts a smile on my face every time.
Is that Zach Stevens or is that the guitar?
Zach Stevens is the vocalist that took over. Yeah, definitely. And man, that they sort of turned this corner, didn't they, as well with that album? That and they sounded different at that time, more epic and grander.
And they announced the new album.
Yeah, the new album's going to be coming out. But I mean, man, this song, it's got a 3-minute intro, which is Prelude to Madness, that leads into this, so it's not part of it. But then you get obviously it's like really evil, this track as well, isn't it? I mean, when it dies down and he does his menacing, it's fucking brilliant. I fucking love this song.
This should go with a horror video.
It's definitely got some evil in it. That is a brilliant track, and there's some. So again, that's not a track that stands out on a shit album, is it? It's a great album.
It's a great album.
And then the most obvious one, which is the first one I thought of when we was going to do this show, because got to go Dio, haven't I? It's obvious.
Oh, yeah.
It's obvious. So the best album that Dio brought out as well, which is obviously Last in Line. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, great track. Yeah.
Just typical Dio. It's classic Dio. It's got a quiet beginning. It's epic. It's not that long. I think it's the 5 minutes or so, but it's one of these ones that it's got so much in it that it seems longer than it really is. Not because it's boring, but because it's just there's so much jammed into this brilliant track. And I think it stands head and shoulders against some brilliant songs on the album already. I mean, some classics on the album. Egypt, the chains are on, is just like fantastic. And then you got We Rock, but Last in Line is just typical epic Dio at his best. That's it. I had to get Dio in there somewhere, didn't I? So
yeah, great list, Lee. Great list.
Still left it for you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, that was fantastic. Well, this will be the part where we do honourable mentions, wouldn't it? But we don't need to. We're probably going to do another show. If we don't, we don't. But what a brilliant list from everyone. Absolutely fantastic. And remember, it is the best track in your opinion. Well, obviously, it's our opinions what really matters, and we were all right. You can argue that case in the comments below if you want, but you know, it's the right opinion. So, yeah, put your.
I feel bad. I'm sorry. I feel bad. There's no AC/DC for me this time, and there's a lot of options in this category for AC/DC. So we're going to have to do a second one because I can get into the, and maybe we just do an AC/DC all set for me. So we'll see.
Just AC/DC back titled good title track albums.
That's right.
Fair enough.
I was surprised. I thought there'd be one on there, and for me, there isn't any, but there's some that are very close. No Iron Maiden, unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, one of my strikes
might come along next show, who knows? But
believe me, I tried, and I couldn't.
Yeah, for me, I don't think there's any for me. No. It's close. There's not.
The only one has anyone got any Iron Maiden on the next show? By the way, before I say this, anyone know?
No, probably not.
I had one.
Suggest
on my list.
Possible.
The only one I had possible was Killers. That's the only one I had that was possible, but the others I couldn't think. I mean, some great ones, by the way.
Yeah, great ones.
I probably like Sanctuary a little better on this one, but Iron Maiden could be arguably maybe the best. I don't know.
Well, Sanctuary's not on the album, is it? Technically.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it is on mine.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, now we got the US-UK battle here.
We have, yeah, definitely. But guys, what a great bunch of people. What a great list. Didn't expect any less. Really, did I? That's why I invite you. So thank you very much for your time as well. All right, guys, brilliant. And everyone in the comments below, please put your lists. And it's time to get the shot. Go! Come on!
All right.
Show your horns. Thank you very much. Cheers. Guys, been a pleasure. Thank you very much. Till next time. See you later.